Hello and welcome to Wikipedia Weekly Network, here where Albin Larsson and I, Jan Ainali, are editing Wikidata Live. How are you doing, Albin?
I'm doing great. How are you, Jan?
I'm great as well, because it's Software Freedom Day today.
Indeed. And what is your plan or idea for?
I saw a query in the latest status updates about funders of open source software. So I was thinking, let's start with that one and see what else we can do with it.
And funders like in money rather than
Yes,
in.
yes,
Yeah.
funders, not founders. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And what do you have in mind?
I'm something very similar because I want to look at like the various foundation and groups that like maintain various perks, like the Wikimedia Foundation is maintaining MediaWiki and so
Mm-hmm.
on, and see can we visualize that in some type of graphs and see those large ones showing up.
All
Yeah,
right. Yes, so there might be some overlap because I guess some funders are also maintainers.
indeed.
So we're coming at it from two different angles. All right. And I'll switch so I'll also see the comments tab here. So hello, Nicholas, and for everyone else is watching, do comment. We'll be interactive here today. And let's see. So first, I wanted to make just a shout out to the status updates. Like this is sort of the newsletter. I think it's maintained by the Wikimedia Deutschland Wikidata team, making sure it goes out on time. I think it every Monday afternoon. I think they send like the updates from the last week. And the good thing is that you can also contribute to this on this page, status updates. So if you have anything coming up, events or other things that are, did you know, or tools of the week, you can always add it in there. So do take use of that. Oh, hello, Mike. Nice to see you here again. And I guess you're in our time zone now, so it's easier for you. But I'm going to show here the last one. That must be this one. There's also, of course, an archive for all of them. And there's a nice little collection here in the Did You Know section about query examples. And this last one caught my eye. Essential open source software funded by ZZI Science. So let's head to it. And I hope this will just open the... I'll run it, all right. Okay, that's not what I expected. I expected to get, let's see what it actually looks like. All right. I think I know what's going on here. Let's open us Wikidata tab again. Let's head back here. And I think there's been an update somewhere. So let's head into, I happen to know that OpenRefine is one of these softwares. So I'm gonna see what the value actually looked like. So scroll down here. Where do we have funded by as use, official blog, funder. Here we go. Yeah. Yes. So this is what it tries to detect, but I think it's actually, this was updated. Because here it's, is it, let's see. Here it is something else. So let's switch these and run it again.
All right, yeah.
So I think it was something wrong pasted there into the... But anyway, here we see what caught my eye this week. So this shows with a nice little bubble chart the amount of funders, I think, to this. No, that's not what it shows. Let's scroll up and see what it shows.
Yeah.
sized by, so it's the site links. So the bubbles here have most Wikipedia articles, essentially.
Some type of trying to measure how popular they are.
Yeah,
I imagine.
I guess there could be a couple of wiki books in these as well as site links. Like there could be a wiki book about OpenRefine and stuff like that. But all of these are then funded through this scheme. But I also thought it was quite interesting, this little thing, which how it selects the value of the statement and the qualifier. So I was thinking, this would not be the first thing I would have written it like. So let me just do it. I'll copy entire thing here, and I'll open a new one. And just paste that thing. And then, of course, here would be the same, but you might have seen me query for qualifiers before. And I usually go to select the statement first in one sort of thing, and then I'll go to the statement should have these things. Make that a little bit cleaner, like that. That's how I usually do it. And I was thinking, are these different in some kind of way, like functionally? Now I'm sort of asking you, Albin.
No, they aren't. They are equal.
They should be
there might be there could be some changes like on the optimization level, but syntax wise they should be the same.
Yeah, so you got 101 results over here. Just for, it took 516 milliseconds, you said. So let's run this one. I think that's essentially the same time and the same amount. So that's very good. But then I was thinking, are these selecting things exactly the same? And I did some experiment in the sandbox. Let's see if we can see that again. So let's bring up the sandbox. So I'll go up here to the Wikidata. And for testing, we do have a couple of items that we call Wikidata sandboxes so that we can actually try things out without messing up the real data. Like it's in the Wikidata proper, so it's sort of in the real data anyway, but we sort of made the concession that, well, let's agree to have a few items that we can actually play around with without having to go to test.wikidata, so we can use everything that is in here.
Yeah.
So let's see
For
if
example,
we can have...
test Wikidata does not have the SparkQL service.
All right, so this wouldn't even be possible. I think I did it in the sandbox 4 here. Let's see. So I did a sort of like a tricky thing here. So I added one of these as a main statement, and then I added the qualifier on a totally different item or value. And I thought, will these be picked up? I thought it was when I tested it, but now there seems not to. Let's see if we can find here in the table. Now here we want to see the funder. We need to add that one. Funder label. And we'll not in here. We'll maybe change this up. So we'll go this funder. Let's run this one, see what we get. That one is the same. And if I change this one, That one is also the same. And it shouldn't be. Let's head back a step. That's not the funder, that's the scheme. Now I see I got 102 here. So let's see the table. Yes, all right. Now I see what I do. Yes, because now I don't. So of course it must come in here because this one has this statement.
Yeah.
Yes. And if I change here again, if I go back and change this one to funder, it should be the same.
Yes. Hopefully. Otherwise,
Hopefully.
you have discovered a bug.
No, it is the same. All right. So I was thinking there was something in here, but that's good. So then we have sort of like empirically also proved that these will yield the same results. So this is sort of like almost like a shortcut of writing this.
Yeah. That's
So you
exactly
sort
what
of
it
like
is.
contract it into it. So if you want to save characters for some reason, that might be what you want to do. I think this one is a little bit easier to read, or maybe it's not. This is also quite nice because it sort of collects it into one thing.
You might need a lesser variable for some reason. I can see reasons for both.
Yeah. Indeed. All right. So where I wanted to go next from there was thinking a little bit, all right, what other funders do we have? What type of funders, and who are the most funding, so to speak? So let's play around a little bit with that and see what we can go. So I'll go with this one, and I'll remove this qualifier because that's a specific funding scheme. And I'll remove the site links. I don't really care about those as well. So this one is a really simple one. I'll remove the site links from there. Also remove the bubble chart because now I want to see tables. And now I would like to have a count here. So let's add in a count. I want to count. Let's start with the funder. So, and yeah, we can just do that as count. So now we should see, now we're going to need to group, and you need to group on everything that is not in the aggregate, so to speak. So we'll add it here. And now I don't order it by site links, but I'll order it by count instead. So these should capture those that funds the most different things that are in Wikidata. And we can see we have 2,440 different funders. Did I think I grouped this in some sort of weird way. Wait, I should remove this because otherwise it'll be a strange kind of grouping if I want to see. That's how I want to do it. I don't care if how many times they funded each thing. So just whatever they have funded. That seems better. And we can see that European Research Council has been funded 435 different things. So that's not too bad. And then we can see it comes down here. We see Wikimedia Foundation funded 9 different things. All right. Now this one actually caught up. I was in Swedish. I'll just turn off the auto language. Or no. have that on, but switched language up here to English. And that didn't work. Is this pop-up going somewhere else? Now I can't even write anything at all in here. Very weird. If I read, oh, there it was just very slow. Well, skip that.
Yeah,
Let's
it
do
seems. Yeah, it seems to
Let's do it.
load all languages directly.
Yeah. Yes. All right. But now I had all different things, but now we want to go to software so that we see who are funding software. So, and the item here is some sort of item, so we can build on that. So I'll go here that it should be instance of or a subclass of, because we do have all the different types of softwares as instances as well in Wikidata. And we'll do this with this traditional property path. We do this very often. And then just software and control space for autocomplete, not softball. Software, not as a service, just software. This one is still in Swedish. All right. So let's see. Does it? There it is. Will it reload everything now? Let me copy this so I don't lose it.
I don't think so.
No, it just switches. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you, query service. All right. So now it should be only software. Let's start with that and see how much falls away here. We know it's need to be. It's going to be less because if
and
not everything is software.
I imagine quite a bit of it research here, given the large one.
So let's run that one and see. And we had something around 1,000 different funders before this. So let's see how much fewer it gets to. 336 different funders. Interesting here, Wikimedia Foundation had 9 before, so they're funding 2 different things than software as well.
Projects, I imagine.
Yes, yeah. I guess we have some projects in here that are having items. Lots of universities.
Yeah, a lot of software comes out of university, and I imagine that's what it is.
Yes, and I imagine that that we have so good data of this is. Well, why do we have that? Do we have someone working on that specifically, like in a wiki project, or?
I think a lot of this, like softwares from universities, are often cited in research, and because we're so good at research and scientific articles, and they usually have identifiers.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. All right, so this was cool, but now we want to go to the free and open software. So let's see. Yay. So now we want to make sure that all these items have a license. Let's see, license, copyright license. This is the one. Or is this the one? Yes, I think it is.
Oh, this is how you do it. This is interesting because I will do it in a different way.
All right, very cool.
Yeah.
And I will just call this license because we know there's plenty of different licenses. So let's go with just say license here. And then I'll have to ask them for, well, what property am I looking for in this license? And I think I'll actually start with trying to capture as many as possible. So I'll do a property path again. So I'm just going to copy and paste this. We should have an autocomplete for this because this is very common. There. And I did a little bit of look around different licenses, and it seems like they all go up to be a subclass of open license. So if I can find open license, I think this is the one. There we go. So now we say that all these software should have a license. Just saying that it should have a license probably drops a few one out. And then we say the license should be the type of an open license. Now let's see what that brings. We had 336. And where do we go from there? $259. So a few followaways, but not too much. And of course, we have the Chan Zuckerberg initiative here in the top, and I guess that's why someone made the query in the first place. They added a lot of data and wanted to see it. So someone doing the hard work in adding data to Wikidata, of course, it will show in the queries. So it's a little bit biased of that right now. So if someone has more data to add, do add it, because it will yield better results. Still a lot of universities in here. It looks very consistent. All right, but now I wanted to do this a little bit more stringent definition of licenses, and I wanted to try to do it with, instead of this, saying that the license should be approved by some sort of body that says this is an open source license. So we do have a property, I think it's just called approved by, yes. And one of the recognized bodies that say this is an open source license is the Open Source Initiative. So let's see if we can see Open Source Initiative. There we have them, the organization. But this should be very strict. Now we only get license within specific approval. And here I bet a lot will fall away because of we lack data. Yes. And I don't think this much actually should fall away, but I think the entire list of everything that has an approval stamp is not on here.
And there are quite a lot of rather common open source licenses that aren't approved, like CC0, for example.
Yes, they are not approved
Exactly.
as an open source software by this body. Although there is another body that does approve CC0.
And it's not that it dropped out of the process. It's not like disqualified, so to say.
No, it's not disqualified. It was a lot of discussion about lacking something about patents. So that's why. But let's try to now say here, instead of this, I want to have these two values, like these two bodies. So I'll say here approver. And then up here, I'll add a values on approver to include, shouldn't have deleted it, open source initiative, which is one of them. And the other one, I think is it Free Software Foundation? I'm not sure if we have any more data, but we had 12 with only the OSI, and now I'm adding here. So this will actually take for any of these two here that had approved it. So we'll see if it increases from 12.
This could be a nice little project for a future Chemic Day.
And there are really good lists online. Yeah. Oh, now we got a lot more.
Yeah, it seems like someone has been working here.
Someone has been working on this at least. Or maybe I just picked up one license that is very common. I don't know.
Yeah, that might also be
very interesting. Yes. Ah, very, very, very nice. Well, that was what I was planning for today. So I'm gonna try to share this query with you so that
Do you want to show it like a bubble chart quickly?
Oh, let's see what it looks like in a bubble chart. So again, in this top left above the results, we always have this that auto fills what the query service think. I can plot something with this kind of chart. This. So let's see the bubble chart here. Oh well, it's look kind of comical.
Oh.
I guess all of these are around 10 or something like that.
Exactly,
Yeah.
the scaling here. Oh.
Yeah. Do we have another? Does a bar chart? Does it sort it nicely? Yes, kind of nicely. So the largest first drops off. Here we do really have a long tail, long thick tail. Very hard to read though, when there's so many results. And of course, if you want, and that was in the first original query as well, if you start with a hashtag and press Control Space, you get this default views, which means you tell the query service, skip the table and move right into one of the other views, which could be quite handy. We often use it with maps, so you don't have to go here and click every time.
Indeed.
Let's see, do I get this onto a banner here? No, that's not the one. Sorry. I should press the edit button first. That was the last week's one. So if you, let's see what we did last week. That's the thing. This is for today. This is what we see on the screen right now.
Great. And I'm gonna jump straight to it. And I'm also gonna head over to the query service directly because I want to do something similar as Jan, but I want to visualize not the funding, but which groups or foundations that maintain the various softwares. And I want to, in particular, render them as a network graph to see is there some projects that are funded by more than one foundation, and how does this scale in quantity and so on. So I'm going to start with just selecting free software so we can have a look at how this is modeled. And here I'm going to do a different approach from Jan, who went by the license and so on. So I'm going to do select. I always do select everything when I'm just getting started. And I want to play around so I can add new variables without changing much. So I'm going to go straight for free software here and doing this by selecting instance of or subclass of, but of free software to try to capture that instead. I'm not sure what the practical difference is here, but maybe license information is more lacking than this type of instance of. I do not know. Oops. Subclass. It would be interesting to see like a maintenance queries to see like things that are in one of those queries, but not the Orchard one.
Yes, that would be something for the Wiki project to.
Yeah. Yeah, here it is.
Yes, we have an item like that, yeah.
And I'm going to add the label service. And already remove my star. I didn't need it this time. Auto language should be fine here because it should be English. Item. I'll just get the label. Let's run it. Probably get a lot here, 8,000. PHP might be one that have an example, and of course MediaWiki. It should be hopefully be well modeled.
Yes, so don't crash your browser opening heavy items.
And here we got a creator, which is not really what we want, but it's still in that area. But here's one thing we want, developer. But this can often be like individuals, but we also see Zen Technologies, for example, which does a lot of work, and PHP group and so on. I we have a lot of software versions here, but I'm also looking for a very particular. I
Might
was
not be
hoping to
there.
find it. Nope, not on that one. I'm gonna check on this one for that. So if this can render, it has a lot of things here. It has a motto text. Yeah. We again have the developer here, and they use this Wikimedia Foundation in this case. But we should maybe have also maintained by. And in this case, it says Sam Reed, who is an employee.
No.
Um, is it imported? Yes, it imported. Okay.
Only by him. Oh,
Yeah. Um,
well,
not
we're
gonna. I'm
relying
not
on
gonna
you,
touch
Sam.
that. Yeah, we do for a lot of things.
Yes.
I'm very thankful for a lot of work Sam does.
Yes.
Okay, but we could see there that we have both this maintained by and the developer one. And here's
Mhm.
actually a very neat way in SparkShell to capture this. So I want either this one or this one. So we can say, if we just do developer first, there. And then we can actually say or in SparkShell by just using a pipe sign. And then here, I don't think autocomplete works when you have used a pipe sign like this. And then maintain by, then I want the P number because I can't 126 P126. Oh, no, autocomplete works. Okay. No, it does not work. And here is whoever maintained it. So I'm gonna say developer in this case because it's easier for me to spell. And
Can I ask you a question?
yeah,
Can you do more ors if you need to?
yes, and you can even combine it with other
Oh,
types of
all
property
right.
paths.
All right.
So it's actually a property path, but it's a or specific charter.
Yeah.
And like this, I'm actually not interested in software, more in the developer part right now. So if I select developer here as well and developer label, I will get a lot of results. I will get as many results. I will actually put a limit here. Do 100 because I think already we can actually visualize this in the graph. Yes.
I got a pro tip from Nicholas there.
Put a space before the prefix. Yes. So that would be there. And the property path would still work. It doesn't care about spaces. So this actually worked. And interestingly enough, I limited to 100 results. But we can already see that it starts to make like clusters here around the Apache Foundation. And I saw some interesting connection where there was like, yeah, here, for example, freedesktop.org and Red Hat both have connection to Poolkit here. And we can already see this type of thing appearing. So this is a very good sign. Here is interesting. We got a Mozilla Foundation on the project, and they do Firefox for Android. But we also see the Mozilla Corporation, which is probably more correct, but it's still interesting to being able to spot these things. However, I want to make a graph with all of the data, but I can't. I have tried this. It doesn't work well. So what I want to do is too much data, especially, and too slow of a computer, I imagine. But what I want to do instead is to because I'm mainly interested in those really large foundations like the Apache Foundation, the Mozilla Foundation, and so on, and seeing how those interact with each other rather than each individual developer. Sorry, Sam. But to do this, I want to first see which are the large developers and then cherry pick them and use them that way. So the question now here is, who are the largest developers? And Jan actually already showed a neat way to do this. We can count. So that's what I'm gonna do, count and group. So I want to count the software for each group, which is the item here. So I'm gonna do count item as software count. And then I want to group by developer. Let's see. Yeah, and I want the item label, and I need to group by everything I do not use in my count. There we go. Let's see. It will try to render this as a graph. No, it failed. Yeah. And I made a mistake of not ordering this. And it didn't group it correctly. Oh, those are different developers.
Yes.
It's fine. Yeah. But I did want the developer label and not the software label. There we go. And I want to order it when I'm at it. I like to do a new line here. Order by descending. And oops, I call that software count. There we go. Let's run and see what happens here. Yes, and we see the patch foundation being really large. We see the GNU part being really large. We see Google, Red Hat, GNOME, Eclipse, Microsoft, Professional.wiki, Sun Microsystems, KDE. Here we also see some what I imagine are individuals. Oracle, Apple, Intel, a lot of like large companies rather than those open source non-profit that I imagined. But here we also see the Wikimedia Foundation, the Mozilla Foundation, CERN. I was hoping to see freedesktop.org, Linux Foundation. Yeah, here we got freedesktop.org. So I want to just cherry pick a couple of those and implement them in my Orchard query I had. So I want to make a copy of this and modify it to my needs. So I essentially want to do my former query, but I want to limit it to only include specific developers. Developer label. Can I reproduce my former query? Item label. That should be it. Okay, so the way I can actually do this is by using, I think Jan did the same with the approvers. Is to use these values. And here I can just say developer. And here fill in the various developers I want. So I have a bunch of Q. Oops. What?
Flipped developer sorted.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And then software count.
Because I want to sort it on count here.
That's
it. I want that patch foundation, I know. So I can just paste it in here. And I also want the GNU project. And let's limit ourselves for now to those large open source foundations. The GNOME project. We have Eclipse Foundation. We have Sun isn't. We have KDE. It's another non-profit here. Intel, Apple. Mozilla Corporation is owned by a non-profit, so it counts here. In my case, my
Canonical is
draconian
interesting,
decision.
though.
Huh?
Canonical is interesting.
Canonical is interesting indeed. I'm gonna skip it for now.
Yeah,
Let's see if
yeah,
we
I
might
agree.
cherry pick some more.
Yeah.
Here we got the Wikimedia Foundation, the Mozilla Foundation. I don't think the foundation does that much rather than the corporation. This isn't in English, so I imagine it's like local specific data, so I'm gonna skip that. This is a general item for Floss contributor. I've seen that a lot, but I wanted to go down and just pick up Linux Foundation,
Yeah.
as well as freedesktop.org.
Where did they go?
They are down here at 5. There we go. I think that's a good start. We need to make sure that the graph isn't too large either. So let's run this. Uh, 700, and let's see. We do not select the graph builder, but the actual graph. Oh, I think we made a good choice in limiting this one. I see it on my computer, and then I see it in StreamYard here, and I can see it not keeping up really. I'm gonna wait it for load a little bit and limit itself. So I think here's the Apache Foundation, because they had a lot of perked looking at the count. Then here I think we got KDE. It's also interesting because I don't see any Orchard connections from their perk to Orchard Foundations. But then I see Mozilla Corporation here and Mozilla Foundation here. I'm gonna see if we can start scrolling in this. But here I also see the GNOME project being. Is it like a mistake that it's so tidy? Yeah, it's not connected there. And now I clicked on it, so I get additional data about it. I think I can click it away somehow. Yes. The Linux Foundation is also here in its like own bubble.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, I think you're right. They will untangle there, the other two.
Yeah. Here we got the GNU project, the Eclipse Foundation. Here we see freedesktop.org being around there. The Apache Foundation, still no connections here. Maybe we didn't get any connections in this combination then. Here we even see some extensions. There could be a lot of work being done here, I imagine. Yeah, I have zoomed out so far. It skipped just the label here. But if we zoom out, this is what I really wanted to create, those clusters of this open foundations maintaining software. Let's see if we're gonna pull in some additional ones to see some connections between things.
We also have one just Mozilla there. A little bit up on 4. There you go.
That's interesting. I'm gonna leave it out for now.
All right.
Wikimedia Deutschland we could bring. Here's interesting. We had a GNOME project over there. Here we got the GNOME Foundation, which also shows like all of this operate rather differently. For example, the Wikimedia Foundation actually maintains software. The GNOME Foundation usually does it through the GNOME project rather than by themselves. Yeah, but I want to bring in some of those large companies then to see, also because they do not necessarily need it to have developed the products at the same time. So it could be interesting to see products being left by a company and gone through a to a foundation, for example. So we're gonna scroll up here and I'm gonna start a new line here. I don't think that will break anything. So I can keep them separated from myself. There we go. Google. Then let's bring in Red Hat. And I want some of those large Linux contributors. Microsoft is another one. And let's see. Sun is a little fun. Sun is a little fun. There we go. Oracle, of course, if we're gonna have Sun. I imagine we could see some overlap there. I'm gonna skip and then canonical. I think that's a good selection for now. Okay, we're gonna get a little bit more here. So let's hope for the best. We're going straight for the graph. 800 results? No, not straight for the graph.
No, I don't think it remembers what you last had.
No, it's a little older because it still says.
Yeah, that's almost a bug, I would say.
Maybe.
Maybe.
We could see a little bit here how it started like a square and it's now untangling itself. So you just need to wait here for a while.
While we wait, what are the requirements for the query service to be able to display a graph? Is that just having 2 columns with items?
No, I just think it's having one item. We can try it. I think that's a good experiment. So if I do select star where, and then we do like values, and then we just select an item here. Item, no, of course not. VD Sweden. And I need to give this a name as well. Country. And if I run this, we just get one item like that. And that's Sweden. And then I think I should be able to just pick graph here and we will have like one.
Right.
We didn't even get the label now because
No. Yeah.
But if I can still click on this, I think, and we see it popping up with all of its properties. So that is, and it automatically recognizes if there is like the same item in 2 places, in 2 different columns, and then it creates a link between them. So
could you have even more than 2 columns?
Yes.
All right.
I'm quite sure. I do not. I think if we would, for example, select Sweden and Sweden here, it would just merge them. But other than that, it works pretty well. And there's actually a manual for this. Could it be under user manual? Maybe. Let's see. And there is at least a dedicated page just about the various visualizations and what type of parameters they take. I think it's linked here somewhere. Federation, MediaVik API, UI, default views. Here we go. Here, I think it is. We describes like the image grid, and if we find the graph here, graph. And then we can see it takes image as well, in case you want to save an image. It doesn't work with layer, but it got like a color, an RGB, and edge label in case you want to, like the line in between things, if you want to give that some type of value. And then a number also for the node size. That one I didn't know. So quite a lot, but it's very basic. As you saw, you just need one item to get started.
Yeah.
So that's a really good page, and it's all of them are here. That was Sweden. We have shown that one. Let's go back. Now the graph has kind of settled, and I want to go straight down here to Oracle, because we should hopefully be able to see connections here to Ultra. We can see one a couple of lines just going off in author directions here. And
Yes.
MySQL, for example, that must be Sun in the author end. Let's see if we can actually find it. I can follow that line. It's a little bit broader than the author one. And there we got Sun. So maintained at 2 different points because Oracle acquired Sun. And we have like 2 author projects that seems to have the same connection that way. We have Eclipse here, another interesting project. Oracle, as well as the Eclipse Foundation at the author end here. So that's another interesting connections. But we can, for example, still see that the GNU project is still in its bubble here. Google seems to be in a bubble as well. This we could probably fix rather quickly. Here we have a connection between the GNOME project and something else. If I click on the GNOME page, will it make that line a little larger? Yes. It goes straight to the graph here to something also supported by the Apache Foundation. Can I find it?
3 layers down.
Yeah, it seems to be the one in the... Oh, no, that's not it. Did I... Apache Berlin? No, that's not it. This was tricky. This is a game in itself. GNOME! GNOME disks.
All right.
Okay, that's interesting. Maybe that's something historical as well about it. And it's not Apache Foundation. There is actually a line going here, so it's...
Yeah,
it makes more
it's
sense.
probably the GNOME project.
The GNOME project we had in the orchard is Red Hat. Yeah, that makes sense. At some point, Red Hat maintained GNOME disks. Here we got another line actually going from Red Hat. Yeah, it's this pool kit, which they shared with someone else. Or which went to something else. Yeah, freedesktop.org, of course. And this is something I really enjoyed visualizing, and I also think it highlights how much orchard work there is to be done. And I could imagine like variations of this one. So for example, something I would like to see is like, I think we in Wikidata can model like dependencies and how things uses orchard things. So it would be interesting to see how, for example, the GNOME desktop environment also got dependencies to like desktop.org or to Red Hat software or to Linux software, and maybe visualizing Linux distros that way. That would be super cool. So I think this is something to continue working on. I'm gonna share this query so you can play with it. It won't use the graph by default in case
it won't
that could
crash
harm the hardware of yours. No, it won't
Yeah.
harm hardware, but in case it would make your computer slow. So there we go. In case you want to play with it.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
So your first query, you got a lot of results. Could you have used that as a subquery in some way? Like doing a limit on... Can you do a limit on a subquery?
Yes.
So you could have taken that and take limit 10 or something and take the 10 biggest instead of cherry picking.
Yeah. Yeah, and I could probably just have picked the 10 biggest some other way as well, I imagine. I could have, rather than base it off on the software, like here, I could have based it on the developer and then select the software. Yeah, but the subquery would definitely work here. I just wanted to share pick it because my personal interests.
Yes, I totally agree. I was just wondering, like, because I haven't tried doing limit on a subquery, so that's why I wasn't sure.
I think it should work because when you write the subquery, also you, rather than just writing select here, you write wings before. Oops. So I think after your select here,
Yeah.
then you could just do a limit as well, because you have this additional wings.
Yes.
I think that would work. I think there might even be examples on Commons which uses that.
Mm-hmm.
As subqueries are rather common there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that was it from me today.
All right.
And we also got a sneak peek to the graph documentation, and I already feel like we should do something more with graphs. I just play around with the colors and sizes and all that type of stuff.
Indeed. And also, we showed the status updates, so don't forget to add your things to the newsletter. I'm pretty sure everyone will appreciate it.
Indeed.
So, yeah. So that's it for the Software Freedom Day. Go out and play with free software, of which Wikidata
Indeed.
Query Service and Wikidata and MediaWiki and Wikibase.
Yeah, and make sure that all of those projects got licensing information or who they are developed and maintained by and so on.
Exactly. We need good data so that the queries actually show something nice. So
exactly.
And I guess it's probably not many edits on the licenses to actually have a quite large impact on how these queries will perform. I think there's just adding one statement will have like
and I think there are plenty of maintenance queries to be discovered here in the data as well.
Yeah. All right.
Right.
We will be back next week again, as usual. And until then, happy editing.
Happy editing.